Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today, I want to talk about how Biden just went after some politicians on the right for saying that there will be blood in the streets if Trump gets indicted. There will be riots, there will be protests, etc. And I want to address that because is there going to be riots in the street if Trump is indicted? Will there be bloodshed if this happens? Well, I'm going to say probably. In fact, I'd almost say definitely. Because here's the thing. When there's protests, there's always a little bit of rioting. Just seems like that's the way it goes these days. Whenever people get out there and do the right thing for the right reason, or even do the right thing for the wrong reason, there's always a subgroup of people, these vermin, that are just waiting to take advantage of that. They blend in with the crowd, they throw bricks, they break windows, they set things on fire because they're just broken people and they love to break other things. So will there be riots and protests if Trump gets indicted? Yes, there will be. There will be lots of protests, but there were also protests after George Floyd got killed. There were even protests after that guy who, beat his wife and then got into a fight with police officers and then tried to grab something out of his car while fighting with them and got shot. There were even protests after that guy got shot, and he deserved it. He got what he asked for, in my opinion. He wasn't a good guy. So, yeah, there are going to be protests if Trump gets indicted. That's a good thing. I think there should be protests. Anytime something is this big and this important, there should be protests. There should be people who are on the other side who speak up. If one side is allowed to do things and the other side who doesn't agree doesn't speak up, well, that's not very American, because in my opinion, the most American thing you can do, or at least one of the most American things you can do, is speak out when you think the government is wrong, corrupt, or whatever, or just unjust. You have a right to go out and assemble and speak against that government. One of our most essential rights. In fact, the First Amendment, I think, is our most important right. And then the Second Amendment only trumps it a little bit because it protects that First Amendment, which is our most important right in this country. So, yes, there will be protests after Trump gets indicted if it happens. I'm not even saying it's going to happen. A lot of people are already like, oh, it's definitely going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. But those are the same people who said it last time, too. There are certain people who just want to see the president get prosecuted. I don't understand those people. That doesn't sound very American to me, whether I like a president or not. I would never want to give our enemies the satisfaction of our president getting indicted. That makes us look bad. I want to support my president. I hope every president succeeds. And I hope every president does what's best for the country. Doesn't always happen. In fact, it seldom happens because they're in the politics business. They do what's best for business and the status quo. But that doesn't mean I hope for them to fail. I just begrudgingly acknowledge that they usually fail. Like, I don't hate Joe Biden. I just think he's incompetent. His policies are outdated, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't hate Trump. I just think he made some bad decisions sometimes, and sometimes he made some erroneous choices based on ego and chose to pick fights that he shouldn't fight, like over whether he should take documents or not. Just give them back. I don't care about what the validity of the whole argument of whether he did something wrong or not here is, because that's not what we're addressing. We're addressing whether there will be protests and violence if he gets indicted. And like I said, of course there will be. You've seen all these times there have been protests over things that did deserve protests and things that didn't. And there's always that sub-element that's going to see that as an opportunity to loot, to burn, to shatter. That's their whole goal. They sit around and wait for something. They're not on the left or the right, necessarily. They're just opportunists. They're fucking parasites. That's all they are. And they will cause violence. That doesn't mean if there are massive protests for Trump that the 5% or so of people that cause violence are representative of the group. They're not. No more so than the 5% of, like, they love saying all summer, last summer, that this is mostly peaceful protests. Like 98% of the protests have been peaceful. Well, yeah, that's the way it usually is. But the 2% that decide to burn down the city usually do a pretty good job of it. But that doesn't mean they're representative of the people that were protesting, or that the people that are protesting should be stopped. Deal with the 2% or whatever that's burning down the buildings. Put them in jail. Shoot them if they're looting. Do whatever you got to do to stop them. They're criminals. But the people that are protesting, that's one of our number one rights in this country. So support them. And if you're on the left and you were supporting all the protests last year and you don't support people coming out and protesting for Trump, you're a hypocrite. Because whether you believe they're right or not, you should be supporting their right to come out and say, hey, we think the government is wrong here. We think they're maliciously wrong. We think that they're corrupt. If they're out there saying that, they have every right to do it, and you should be supporting their right to do it. Because every now and then you might say, well, conspiracy theorists are just out there screaming. Every great once in a while, they say something true. So sometimes you should not only support their rights, but you should listen and see if what they say makes sense. But whether you're right or left, you should be supporting people's right to protest, period. Now, we have to accept that sometimes with protest, in fact, a lot of the time, there's going to be that tiny little sub-element that does wrong. But if you try to use that to condemn the protests in general, that's like saying, since a tiny percent of gun owners misuse guns, we have to condemn gun ownership. No, we say most people are legal, law-abiding people exercising their rights. Deal with the ones that do wrong. Same thing with protests. The vast majority are doing what they think is right in one of the most American ways they can do it. So support that, whether you agree with them or not. But if you see someone lighting a fire, throwing a brick, whatever, condemn those people, get them arrested. Don't stand by and watch it happen. It's just, they're criminals, and they should be treated as such, just like people who misuse guns. But they are the minority. And we don't judge the majority by the minority, and we don't remove the rights from the majority because of the actions of a tiny minority. So when people say there'll be blood in the streets if Trump gets indicted, they're probably right. There will be a small number of people who go out there for the wrong reasons and do the wrong things. But the vast majority of people, I think, would be out there because they really truly believe the government is overreaching here. They're making something out of nothing, that they are targeting Trump to make an example out of him and to try to harm the conservative movement. So people who believe that have every right to be on the street. In fact, I encourage them to be on the street, just like I will stand beside someone who I don't agree with whatsoever, but I will support their right to protest. I will be their ally when it comes to protesting. Same thing you should do if you're on the far left. You should do the same thing for the people on the right. If they're out there protesting because of the way Trump's being treated, whether you agree with them or not, you don't have to go out there and hold up their banner, but you should be standing behind them saying, I'm an ally of you doing what you're doing right now. Because that's one of the most American things you can do, and I support it 100%. So those people that are trying to scare anyone by saying there'll be blood in the street if he's indicted, if you're trying to scare people with that, or if you're one of the people trying to condemn the people who point that out, it doesn't matter, because that's just what happens. Yes, there will be protests. Yes, there probably will be a little bit of violence, but it'll be just a tiny bit. And I know the media will focus on that because that's what sells the papers, so to speak. And they'll try to inflate that to make it look like the whole world is on fire. But it's really just a small minority, and every one of us should stand behind people's rights to protest and their right to address the government and their right to free speech, whether we agree with them or not. Because you never know, next time it might be you that wants to speak up, and you might need them to support your right to do so, even if they don't agree with you. All right, everybody, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. I do want to remind everyone that we are still selling the Waddle stickers. We still have quite a bit to make up in our shortfall for the Pets and Vets program. So if you want to protect your family from werewolf attack, Go get you one of the wattle stickers, get you as many as you need. Put one on every car, put one on the front of your house, maybe even the back entry. Let werewolves know that you are an ally so they don't eat you. And remember, these are 100% guaranteed. If you buy one of these stickers or multiples of these stickers and you put them on your cars or your home and you are eaten by a werewolf, I will give you 100% of the purchase price back minus shipping and handling. So 100% guaranteed. You can rest easy if you put these on your car, if you get these stickers. Like I always say, I do believe that of all the gun channels on YouTube, I am the only channel, my channel is the only channel that actually cares if its viewers get eaten by werewolves. I don't see any of the other channels doing anything about it. They give it lip service sometimes, but they don't really do anything. So, like I said, if you don't have one of these stickers yet, go over to my website, tympistolproject.com. There'll be a link in the upper corner. Go over there. There's a place there you can order one of the wattle stickers or multiple of the wattle stickers, depending on how many cars you have. And get those, like I said, 100% guaranteed because I care about you. And with that being said, I am out of here. And I want to thank everyone for coming. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope to see you again tomorrow. Whether I do or I don't, if you want to come to the live chat tonight, there will be a live chat at 6 p.m. Pacific time. There's one every day at 6 p.m. Pacific time, except for Mondays and Wednesdays when it's at 5 p.m. So come on over there. There's a link to that in the upper corner of this video too. If you want to come over tonight and enjoy yourself and join in the conversation, please do so. And if you don't, remember, always carry and stay safe until I do see you again.